the steps to solve any equation are summarized beautifully. I mean beautifully with these 3 steps right here on the lower left, right here. I got the goal of every equation. What's the goal? Remember Ronaldo's picture? It says to get the variable by itself isolated on either side of the equation. Right or left side, it doesn't matter. That's the goal. You're going to keep this. It's going to be like your reference tool for the next 3 weeks, this one. So these 3 steps, Sanchez, enable us to solve any equation in Math 1 that I'll throw at you from here on out to the end of the year. These 3 steps. Okay? Look at step 1, step 2, and step 3. Let's do a popcorn reading here. Step 1, Abel Gonzalez. Can you read step 1? How do we solve any equation? Look at step 1. Follow along as he reads it. Step 1, go. Okay, let's do that. Look at number 11. If there's parentheses, perform distributive property. Distributive property, that was week 1 in here. I mean, I got sick of distributive property. Let's do it. Let's do step 1. Do it with me. So you're writing this down. This is number 11 on the upper left. Right, Murillo? Here we go. So remember, assignment 1 and quiz 1 was distributive property. So let's see. 3 times z is 3z. 3 times 7 is 21 equals 21. Castillo, can you read step 2 now? So look at step 2, like Castillo just read. It says, if variables are on both sides. Are variables on both sides here, Reyes? No. What side is a variable on? Right, so step 2 I can go ahead and skip. Why? Because variables are not on both sides. See, so step 2 is only if variables are on both sides. In other words, we're going to get to some equations on steroids where variables are on both sides on Thursday. Yeah, that's Reyes. Let me talk to you outside. So do I. Right outside, man. Thank you so much. So Thursday, we're going to have variables on both sides. In other words, you'll see the z on the left and z on the right. So that's when we'll perform step 2. So right now, variables only on one side. Step 2 is done. Step 3, Valdez, read step 3 for me, would you? I'll be right now, Reyes.
Whatever numbers that are next to the variable by using the opposite operation, starting with numbers furthest from the variable until the variable is placed.
Get rid of whatever numbers that are next to the variable using opposite operation. So 3 is next to the variable, and so is 21. But look at it. It says start with the numbers furthest from the variable. What number is farther from z, 3 or 21? So let's get rid of the 21 first by doing the opposite operation, what Valdez just read. Opposite of adding, subtracting. Do it with me. So these 3 steps are going to enable you to solve any equation, even the ones I'm going to show you on Thursday that might scare you. It's going to be like equations on steroids, variables on both sides. Stay with me. Here we go. Bye-bye to that. 3z equals 0. We're still on step 3. It says get rid of whatever numbers are next to the variable. Now 3 is next to the variable. What operation is going on between 3 and z, Rocha? Right, so this is multiplication, opposite is division. Beautiful, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Opposite operation, beautiful. 1z, but I don't have to put the 1. 1 is always there. Z is equal to 0 divided by anything, 0. Beautiful. Number 12. Want me to put it back up? I can put it back up. No biggie. Hit it. All right. You got it. Number 12, let's do this. Step 1, Mendez, can you read step 1 for me? Right there. All right. Is there parentheses? Yes, there is. Let's perform distributive property. Do it with me. Here we go. We're multiplying. Negative 4 times z is negative 4z. Beautiful. Careful now. Boot camp attendees. Watch this. Negative 4 times negative 12 is positive. Remember we reviewed positive and negatives, the boot camp students? 4 times 12, that's positive, sorry. Stop laughing at me. Equals 42. All right, step 1's done. There's no like terms. Step 2, I'm going to skip step 2. Can someone tell me why I'm going to skip step 2? Oh, you guys are on it. Step 3, let's do it now. Let's get rid of any numbers next to the variable. Starting with number furthest from the variable. Headphones? How many? Go for it. What number is farther from the variable, the 48 or the negative 4? Thank you. Do the opposite. Let's do it. Whatever I do to one side, I got to do the other. Whatever I do to one side of the equation, I got to do the other. Perez, you with me? You with me? Here we go. Let's do it. Bye-bye to that. Negative 4z is negative 6? You sure? What'd she say? She come out sort of sarcastic again. Here you go, ready? Negative 6. Thank you, Medina. Thank you, Medina. Indeed you were. All right, let's see. Let's get z alone now. Garcia, what operation is going on right now between the negative 4 and the z? So opposite would be negative division. Beautiful. Watch this now. Boot camp students. Boot camp. Z is, what's a negative divided by negative? Positive. It's going to be a positive fraction, unfortunately, because 4 can't go into 6 evenly. So let's just leave it as a positive 6/4, but it's bad manners mathematically to leave a fraction unsimplified. It's like farting at the dinner table or something. It is disgusting. So is that. So we got to fix it. What goes into 6 and 4? You're awesome. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2. We're on fire. Z is 3/2. Or if you don't like, if you have something against improper fractions and you don't like the way they look or something, you can leave it as a mixed number. 2 goes into 3 one time with 1 left over. So 3/2 is still the same as 1 1/2. So that or that is acceptable. That's a little fraction review for those of you who are rusty on fractions. So there's our solutions. Beautiful. We're moving. 2 more to go. You guys are doing good today. 13. Let's do this. All right. Adiola, read step 1 for me if you would. It's all right. Oh, hold on. No worry.
If there is a parenthesis to form the same property as any like term.
Beautiful. I see parentheses on the right now. The variables are on the right. Okay, so let's distribute on the right side. There we go. There's only one number on the left. Everything's on the right now. This is a nasty expression. So here we go. Distribute with me. Here we go. We're going to do exactly what Adiola just read. Here we go. 12r, negative 3 times 9, that's going to be a negative 27. Notice I could put minus 27 or plus negative 27. It means absolutely the same thing. Right, Perez? Notice a minus r means plus negative r. When I was your age, I'd always get in the habit of just changing the subtraction to plus negative. So this is really a plus negative 1r. This way, in my mind, there's no doubt about it that I'm dealing with a negative coefficient. Okay, so here we go. Negative 3 times negative 1 is going to be a positive 3. R, don't forget the r. Some of you forget attaching that variable. Are we done with step 1? You sure? We're not done with step 1. There's still something we can do. What can we do there? Beautiful. Thank you so much. Like terms are 12r and 3r. This was what quiz 1 was all about. Remember week 1, the foundation of the house? You got to know like terms. You got to be able to simplify those puppies. A lot of puppies. 12R and 3R. 15 R's, huh? There's 15 R's total. Nice. Nice. Now we're done with step 1, right, Adiola? Because there's no more like terms to simplify. Step 2, again, we're going to skip until Thursday when we have the steroid-induced equations. So we'll go right to step 3. Let's get rid of any numbers next to the variable, starting with the numbers furthest from the variable. Barajas, what's numbers farther from R, negative 27 or 15? Which one's farther? Just look at where R is. Which one's farther, negative 27 or 15? I mean, you just look at it. Which one's farther? The negative 27 or 15? Look at where the R is. 15's farther? That's way farther. Look, the distance-wise, look at it. This is way farther than the 15. So I'm going to get rid of the numbers farthest first. So step 3, get rid of whatever numbers that are next to the variable using opposite operations, starting with the numbers farthest from the variable. Starting with that one. Opposite subtraction, addition. Let's bring down the equal sign. Bye-bye to that. Right, Murillo? Here we go. 15R is on the right equals, yeah. Thank you. Which one? What should I do now, Murillo? Do nothing. Good idea. There's one more thing we got to do because R is not by itself yet. Let's get R alone. Franco, hit it. By what, Franco? R is alone on the right side. Keep it on the right side. Keep the variable on whatever side it's on. Don't bring it to the left. That irritates me. R is by itself. 60 divided by 50, that's 4. Beautiful. Gracias. Does it? Chill, man. It's bringing God's name in vain in this thing, man. It's just equation. Relax. Jackson, you had something to say? I'm sorry. You sure? Okay. Questions? 13. We're coming down to the wire. Number 14. Last but definitely not least. Hit it. Elaborate. What do you mean by that? So in other words, you switch the left and right sides? Nothing wrong with that. Because logically, if something's equal to something else, it doesn't matter which side it's on. They're equal. The values are equal. Think logically. So yeah, that's fine. Is it because you want the variable on the left side? Yeah. Because you like Murillo and some others. I would prefer this. Just keep it on the right side because I want you to train yourself logically that it doesn't matter what side the variable's on. Right and left side doesn't matter if they're equal. Doesn't matter which side's which. Right, because think logically. If I'm the same age as Gonzalez, and there's an equal sign between me and him, it doesn't matter if he's on this side or I'm on that side. Logically. Logic is a science of correct thinking. All mathematics is just pure logic. It's symbolic logic, right, Castro? Okay, I knew you'd agree. Here's 14. Number 14, here we go. Last but definitely not least. All right. Step 1, if there's parentheses, perform distributive property. Mendes, is there any parentheses here? There's definitely parentheses. Do it with me. Here we go. (6g) minus 18. I like doing plus negative 18. This way in my mind there's no doubt that's a negative 18. I always do it ever since I was your age. And I'm a math teacher now, go figure. You don't need to. But it makes me feel comfortable because there's no doubt in my mind that's a negative 18 now. In other words, sometimes if you put a minus 18 here, sometimes in people's minds, they don't really consider that a negative 18. But they should consider a negative 18, so I do this. Thank you, Reyes. I'll be out there right now. You're the man. Say again? Yeah, I know. I got to finish this, though. That's what happens when you interrupt. Thank you, though. You're the man. Appreciate that. Reyes, thank you. You're the man. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, negative 29, huh? Thanks, Adiola. All right, like terms, numbers with numbers here. 7 and a negative 18. Positive 7, by the way. So boot camp students, boot camp. 7 plus a negative 18. Remember, you subtract, take the sign of the bigger number. That's going to be a negative 9 then, yeah? Oh, yeah. I was just seeing if you're paying attention. Jeez, you got a tough crowd today. All right, let's see. 6G. Okay, so now we're on step 3 because we're skipping step 2 to Thursday. What number is closer to the variable Garcia, the negative 11 or the positive 6? Which number is closer to the variable? Negative 11 or, excuse me, I'm talking, thank you. 6, so I'm going to start off with the 11, get rid of the 11. By opposite operation, step 3, I'm adding 11 to both sides. Do it with me. $6G. Help. I'm bad with mental math. Sounds good to me. Divided by 6. Awesome. We're rocking and rolling.